Ninja. I just wanted to ask you a question about that fight you had with that guy in Australia.
Oh yeah.
Get your cup of tea, get your cup of coffee, get your glass of wine, whatever you need, because this video is going to be jam-packed with information. The Antwoord have responded to Ben's claim that Yolandi lied about being groped by Andy Butler. And the response is very interesting, okay? I just want to pre-warn you real quick because there is some parts in this video, I'm recording this intro after I recorded the entire video, but there is some parts in which I get a little heated because I can't think of a soft way to put it other than Ninja and Yolandi sprinkle little lies into their narratives, and well, I have to call it out. You know, I try to go easy on them, but sometimes the lid unscrews itself. I don't know what that means. So if you needed any further reassurance that Ninja and Yolandi lied about their accusation against Andy Butler, then you've come to the right place because they decided to grab a shovel and dig a real deep hole by responding not once, but twice to the video from Adelaide. And I'm so sure about this that I'm winning a coat. So grab your drinks and get ready because you're gonna be sipping a lot of it, alright? And we're gonna start off with Ninja's statement that he made on Facebook, literally a day after EDM.com reported on the story. The reason why I say this is because the video from Adelaide has been out since middle of July, but didn't respond until the media picked it up. Huh, okay. Ninja speaking in relation to the hate crime video in Adelaide filmed by our ex-cameraman Ben Crossman. Ben has cleverly edited this video clip to make it seem like me and Yolandi committed a hate crime towards a person because they are gay. However, Ben beat up the guy from Hercules himself while filming the same video clip. Okay, first of all, it looks like Ninja can write in proper English after all, which if you've seen other videos that I've done on the Antwoord, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or even if you've seen any of their social media posts, you know how tacky he types. Found this filthy, dirty little street kid, took him home, washed him, and never gave him back. As for Ninja saying that Ben cleverly edited the video that he posted, I'm about to say something really bold right here. Ninja's lying. Unless, of course, you consider dragging and dropping files into a sequence in a chronological order clever, then yeah, I guess Ben is real clever. I have the raw files, Ninja. There is no clever editing being done here. Stop it. The only clever editing that I'm seeing here is the addition of the narrative being done by Ninja by saying that Ben actually was the one that beat up the guy from Hercules. You know, while holding the camera, he just beat up the guy with his left hand, the heavy DSLR. Come on now. Look, if we're gonna say that anybody beat up the guy from Hercules, why don't we just put the blame on all three of you, huh? Why is there no mention of Diak, you know, the guy who literally tackled Andy? Either all three of you beat him up or you beat him up, because after all, you're the one that also spat on him and bragged about it to multiple people throughout the entire night.
I was like, bro, I don't want to knock out his finish his show, but I was like,
I just think it's interesting how eager Ninja is to throw his old friend under the bus, because they were friends for over a decade, you know, but now that he feels threatened by Ben, he's like, oh no, he beat him up, you know? What about Diak? Ninja continued, this was just a fight with someone who with us. Not a hate crime. This fight had nothing to do with the fact that this guy was gay. We don't care about people's sexual preferences. Our DJ and best friend DJ Hightech is gay, and a lot of people in our crew are gay. But if a person, no matter what their sexual preference is, keeps harassing us over and over, then physically harasses Yolandi, there will obviously be repercussion. Obviously, and if they're gay, there will obviously be homophobic slurs thrown at them as well. Here's the thing that I don't get about Ninja, or maybe he himself doesn't get it, or he's playing dumb, but the fact is that he approached him first. He came up to him and assaulted him physically first. So that's kind of like where someone might get the crime part, right? And afterwards, Yolandi's cheering it on and yelling. So that might be the hate part, right? Because you're targeting a gay man. Intentional or not, it's still happening, and there's no apology or anything wrong about that. Like, at least your sound guy apologized for using that language and can now acknowledge that it was wrong, you know? But Ninja? He's missing the point. Ben Crossman has been on a rampage to make us look bad in the media because we fired him years ago for being mentally unstable and malicious towards our family. So Ninja's making Ben out to look like a disgruntled old employee that's still mad that they got fired years ago. And while this could be true, or at least maybe partially true, could be a factor, Ben has stated that the catalyst to him speaking up in the first place was hearing Johnny's claims of abuse. Now, in my interview with him, you guys will hear much more details of his perspective, his intention, and everything. But for now, this is a voice note he sent me in response to Ninja saying that he's been malicious towards his family.
That's great. I'd love to hear an example of what I did that was malicious towards his family. Anyway, anything I've ever done towards them, or said anything, or spoken up, anytime I've ever tried to, it's been in direct response to something they've done or said, you know? So maybe defending myself or standing up for someone else. So if they want to say that's being malicious to their family, otherwise I can't think of where that would fit in.
Here's what happened during our Australian tour that led up to the incident in Adelaide. While the Antwoord were on tour in Australia 8 years ago, during the Big Day Out festival, Yolandi and I were having breakfast at a hotel when some guy we did not know pulled up a chair at our table and said, "I need to speak with you guys." I told the guy, "We are having some private time," to which this guy replied, "Oh, you are always having private time, aren't you?" Then he walked off. A minute later, the guy walked past us again and said to us, "You need to get slapped across the face with my dick." And he walked off again and sat down at a table nearby with a friend. A couple corrections, then we'll move on to Andy's side of the story because he actually had an interview in which he mentioned the same incident, but from his perspective. So first off, it was not 8 years ago, and it was not on Big Day Out Festival.
Alright, one negative was when I approached the Antwoord and I said to them, "I'd love to have breakfast with you. Can I sit with you?" And they said, "No, we're having a private conversation." So I told this singer, what his name, Ninja or some shit. I said to Ninja, I said, "Well, okay, I understand, but anytime you want to, please flop your dick in my face." At which point he told me that I needed to leave the table, or he was going to help me leave the table, and I was ready to take him outside and beat his ass.
So from Ben's perspective, Andy was trying to befriend Ninja, and from everybody's perspective, Andy walked up to him to try to start a conversation, and he was rejected. So maybe it is possible that Andy took the rejection a little bit too personally, and in the interview, maybe he didn't want to admit that he was trying to befriend him. Or even if that's not the case, it still obviously led him to making that comment towards Ninja, which could have started all the animosity. We asked around later if anyone knew who this person was, and we found out that he was a singer from some band called Hercules. Some band? Come on, Ninja. Their band's name isn't that much lower on the bill than your band's name was. We were on tour with all the bands from Big Day Out for 7 shows, and everywhere we went, this guy kept stalking us and passing effed up comments at us over and over. And another thing that stands out is that he has not listed one example of Andy harassing him or making any effed up comments other than wanting to sit at the cool kids table. While on the other hand, there's footage of Ninja physically assaulting Andy and another video where Yolandi throws Ninja's earring at Andy's face. At the end of the tour, during our final festival in Adelaide, the guy from Hercules followed Yolandi into the girls' bathroom and wouldn't let her out, and she had to physically push past him to get out of the bathroom. She then ran to me and Ben and told us what just happened. This is why we all got up and ran after the guy, which Ben has not included in his edit. As I ran up to the guy from Hercules, he threw a drink at me and punched me, so I hit him back and he ran off. Holy crap, this dude is literally broadcasting a lie. It blows my mind because he actually broadcasted this entire statement to over 2 million fans. And of course, a lot of those fans haven't seen the video, so they just eat it up, they believe it, you know? To his fans, him and Yolandi are the victims. And you know what else is interesting is that nowhere in this entire passage is he claiming anything about sexual assault anymore. So it's like, where did that go? Why isn't that in this passage at all? It's just like all of a sudden Andy wouldn't let her out of the bathroom. How did that change from grabbing her bum and everywhere to this? Ninja continues, Ben, our cameraman, then chased the guy and got into a scuff with him. During the scuff, Ben punched the guy from Hercules in the face. The guy then ran away, screaming for security to arrest us. Now, in the video, you don't hear or see him screaming for security to arrest anybody. However, later on in the video, you do see management from the festival offering Ninja wants to get the guy arrested for the claims that Ninja is making. And of course, Ninja says no to that. Which, I'm sorry, but I have a really strong opinion about this, because if I found out that somebody groped my partner in the way that Ninja described that Yolandi was groped, and I was offered that the guy could be arrested, the guy that groped my partner could be arrested like this, just like it was shown in the incident on video, I would not smile and laugh about how it's okay, no, just get him to apologize. No, I would get that guy arrested. You know, like, what? Now let's hear Ben's version of events from that night.
And no, I did not hit Andrew Butler. When, after Ninja spat in his face and Andrew threw the champagne at Ninja, Andrew sort of stepped into the shadows, and I went into the shadows with him. That's why you can't see anything, because it's dark. And I was holding my camera in my right hand, and I grabbed Andrew Butler on top of the head. He was wearing a beret, and I held him on top of the head to try and restrain him. And I kept saying, I want to speak to him. I wanted to find out what happened with Yolandi. And that's when Diak sort of stormed in and tackled the guy. After he swung, sorry, Andrew did swing and rip my t-shirt, but I never actually punched him or pushed him or anything besides hold his head. That's what I did. That's the extent of what I did. You can ask Andrew Butler, he was there. After all, it was his head I was holding. But whatever, it's all bullshit. More ninja lies, avoiding to speak about the real issue here, which is that they made up a lie of Andrew Butler grabbing Yolandi in the girls' bathroom.
In the heat of the moment, I quickly told Yolandi to be as dramatic as possible about what happened so that we wouldn't be detained for this guy's bullshit story he was spinning to security. Now, what's interesting about this is that right after this happened, Hercules and Love Affair was actually set to go on stage. So right after it happened, Andy went to perform. And the only people that went to security was Ninja. So it's interesting that it's almost like he's talking about himself, calling his own story BS. The festival asked us if we wanted to press charges against the guy, and we said no, as the incident was now over. If this was true, the incident is not over. If he is not lying about Andy being a guy that gropes women, then the incident is not over. You should definitely have him detained. But everything about this story smells fishy. So I think that's the real reason why they didn't want to get the police involved, because then the true story might have actually come out. At the end of the day, we are kind people with good hearts who make surreal art and hardcore rap music. We don't look for trouble, and we believe in love, respect, and equality. But if you f*** with us, we're gonna pull up. Increase the peace. Okay, I see why he's typing in proper English this time around. Because can you imagine if he typed this entire passage, and especially this part, in his little Zef ninja character? Oh yeah, no. Of course he had to pull up the Wadi. You know, the one that came from a private nice school in Johannesburg.
When I was a young boy, I had a dream to be on the cover of a big rap magazine. I blew the f*** up so hard, the shit was psychedelic. Be careful what you wish for, you might just get it.
When you go to their YouTube channel, you'll notice this is actually the second video in a playlist called Zef TV. The series of videos is hosted by a 19-year-old guy who explains he'd be following the group and documenting their lifestyle. At one point in the first video, the rappers are asked if they are racist.
Are you racist?
Ninja and Yolandi abruptly stop walking, and then we are shown a montage of them hanging out and having fun with black people until it ends, and Ninja responds,
No.
Interesting that they would address this question so soon after certain videos surfaced online.
Ninja's more like a nigga than Alex Wang is a freak.
Wow, what a fucking weird little pixie fucking oriental motherfucking psycho.
I mean, you can react like that. Hey, money there, kasi daw kumini. Wat nou ja? Vang op jou swak.
Fuck you.
Dan trek jou doos.
Something else that I particularly found interesting is the fact that they're addressing drama in a YouTube series. Making a YouTube series on the Antwoord's controversy. Where have I seen that before? Now, you know what? You guys can do it. You're allowed to do it because, you know, it is your own name, so we can both do YouTube series on your controversy. All jokes aside, I have reached out to Ninja and Yolandi, and neither of them have responded, and that's okay. You know, they don't have any obligation to respond to me. If they want to address things on their own terms in their own platform, that's totally fine. Now, the second video on the playlist is called Zef TV Public Service Announcement, and it begins with Ninja folding a blanket.
I just wanted to ask you a question about that fight you had with a guy in Australia.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to ask about the build-up that led to that fight.
Oh man, Ninja's always being asked questions on camera on the spot when he obviously least expects it.
16, what do you want?
I'm interviewing you, okay? It's like my new profession right now.
An interview.
I personally believe they're doing the videos in this fashion in which somebody asks them, hey, what happened with this thing? Because of how badly the other videos they've done were received. The ones in which they addressed the camera straight on and just went off on their own.
And I'm in a cult.
This is not what I ordered on the fucking menu, but
You'll need to check your sauce before you rickety-rick your voice.
In my opinion, they're having somebody else ask them a question so it comes off more genuine, you know, like it's not rehearsed. But when you're literally folding a blanket, that's trying too hard. That's like you're trying to make it seem like somebody randomly asked you a question. But come on, seriously?
oh yeah, what happened before then?
Yeah, like how did it get to that point?
Yeah, there's quite the build up. Yeah, let me just finish up and I'll play you.
And we only hear the kid's voice in the beginning too, so it completely defeats the purpose of being a natural conversation, you know? He only asked the question and then, boom, what happened to the kid asking the question? And another thing that I've noticed is that the Antwoord always play victims, always. And not only that, but they always attack the person that they feel threatened by, without fail. And I'm gonna include a Google Docs that I've created in which you'll see plenty of examples in which they either unprovokingly go out of their way to attack someone that never did anything to them, or they're just going out of their way to play victims and attack somebody else. Like, they use the victim card to attack people. It's like, no matter what, you don't come after Ninja and Yolandi, otherwise they come at you tenfold. Alright, now let's begin on the Zef TV public service announcement. In this video, Ninja starts off by repeating the story of when they were having breakfast and Andy tried to join in, and it did not go well. But we also hear Yolandi talk about Andy, saying that he had a personal problem with the both of them.
Every time he saw us, he would pass comments, he would bump into us, he would talk shit, he would insult us.
All the ammo that the Antwoord used against Andy leading up to the night in Adelaide is that Andy would make rude comments towards them. But according to Ben, they would do the same to him. So who's telling the truth, you know? It would be nice if we had a neutral source that could verify either claim. But then again, not really, because even before Adelaide happened, Yolandi threw pee at Andy. So it's like, that kind of supersedes any name calling.
And this guy just follows me into the bathroom. I turn around, I see him, there's no one else in the bathroom. And he starts going on at me. He's like, oh, how was your 5 o'clock show? Oh my God, I heard it was really empty. And he was just starts ripping into me like a bitch. And I'm like, what the f is your problem? And I'm just trying to get out the bathroom. He wouldn't let me out. And he's like a big, buff guy. And I was like, I eventually forced my way past him. And I ran out and I saw Ninja and our cameraman Ben and Diak.
Huh. Something is missing here. Yolandi says that Andy blocked her way and essentially she had to force her way out of the bathroom running away. But what happened to the young girl who was actually 27 years old, by the way, that was groped on her chest, bum, and crotch by a gay man? And I mean, don't get it twisted. Of course, it's completely incorrect and gross to block a woman's way out of the bathroom, especially if you're in a woman's bathroom. But I'm just saying, I'm a little confused as to how the story changed, because that wasn't the original story, you know? And if that indeed happened, if Andy did indeed block her way out of the bathroom, that should 100% be punished accordingly. If he did indeed block her way from leaving the bathroom, he should be punished for that, not for groping her private parts.
And she said, that guy just stepped to me again. And we're like, where? And she said, in the toilet. And we all look up, and out of the girls' toilet walks this dude that's been f***ing with us the whole tour.
They looked up, they saw the guy come out the bathroom. And then when he saw them, he just ran. Like, obviously he felt guilty.
Oh man, this is why I'm so glad that I called my video covering the incident the video that the Antwoord don't want you to see. Yolandi says that Andy ran when he saw Ninja, Ben, and Diak because he felt guilty. Here's the thing, Yolandi. Facts don't lie, and the fact is that Andy's manager was walking Andy to the stage so he could perform with the rest of his band, and the only person seen running is Ninja as he's charging at Andy. When they uploaded this video, they had already taken down Ben's original upload as well as several other re-uploads of the Night in Adelaide video. This is why I'm really glad that I uploaded my own video going over the Night in Adelaide. This way we can see exactly how they are the ones that are cleverly editing the narrative, you know? Whew.
And we ran after him to grab him, whatever, and say, what the fuck's going on, take him to security, because you don't now harass a little girl in a fucking bathroom.
If that was what happened, then yes, that would have been 100% the correct thing to do. However, Ninja did not run up to Andy to take him to security, unless he was planning on taking him to security after spitting in his face. They sprinkle so many lies into their narrative that it becomes difficult to decipher what is truthful and what isn't. And once again, do take note of Ninja adding severity to the situation, you know, saying, you don't harass a little girl. Yolandi was 27 years old. What's going on here? That's a full-grown woman and the mother of your child.
And he runs to security, and I thought, oh, this is gonna look super fucking bad. And I said to Yolandi, just pump up whatever fucking happened in the bathroom.
Just pump up whatever happened in the bathroom. Well, for anyone who may have had any doubt whatsoever, this is pretty much the second dead giveaway of them admitting that Andy never groped Yolandi. The first dead giveaway, of course, being in Ninja's statement when he admitted to saying that he told Yolandi to be as dramatic as possible. And of course, this is all if we're not even counting all the other heavy clues from the video itself, and the 2 corroborations that say that Yolandi admitted the next day that it was all a lie.
I probably shouted rude things at him, which wasn't necessary, but at that point I just sort of like flip moded. Ninja and them were getting in a fight with him. He threw Ninja with a drink. Ben, the cameraman, hit him. He broke Diak's glasses. I don't know, it was just like kind of a mess.
Once again, take note of how they drag Ben on every mention. I mean, it's very subtle. They keep referring to him as a cameraman. Oh, that's interesting. They don't refer to Diak as the sound guy. And she says Andy threw Ninja with a drink, but she doesn't mention the fact that Ninja spat in Andy's face first. Then she says Ben the cameraman hit him and he broke Diak's glasses. I'm not sure if she's referring to Ben or Andy, but it's interesting that she's saying Diak's glasses got broken as if like it was somebody else's fault, but Diak tackled Andy and that's where he dropped his glasses. And the worst part about even adding this detail into the narrative is the fact that it's a lie, because Diak's glasses were never broken in the first place. This is a picture of him before the incident and a picture of him after the incident at an after party with the same glasses on. And in a clip from later that night, Ninja is heard laughing and retelling how it was all like a wildlife documentary describing Ben and Diak's interaction.
Then the like fucking wild German, the wild photographer, the wild rapper guy in the background. And then there was like, that was weird.
But you know what the funniest thing is? You know his manager or whatever they want.
The manager stepped the fuck back, dude. And then Ben was like, dude, I just want to speak to you. Like this, he wants to take a photo. And look at Ben's shirt. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's just like being a BBC documentary, wildlife. I'm not getting detained for this guy's fucking bullshit.
He's basically revealing all his cards, you know. It's like he thought that Andy was going to go to security, but really, Andy was going to perform because, again, Hercules and Love Affair was set to perform at this time. That's where him and his manager were going right then. But I think after that whole fight was over, Ninja realized, oh crap, that should not have happened.
I'm not getting detained.
And then he went to tell security everyone he could, spread his story first before Andy had the chance. And I say this almost feeling like I have a bit of a cheat sheet because Ben didn't include the clip that I'm about to show you in the original cut, but this was later on in that night.
I hit him somewhere like weird, dude, like 2 hours time weird, dude. Does that make sense, dude?
Yeah, like it's gonna pop.
No, it was weird, and then like in 2 hours time it'll be like, uh-oh, that shouldn't have happened in your lifetime.
8 years later.
You gotta pay attention to these little things they do, like add an extra year and laugh about it because so much time has passed to emphasize that it shouldn't be a big deal anymore. But these accusations, they're a big fucking deal. Not a big deal to you because you made it up, but you're fucking with someone's life, Yolandi, and you're showing a complete lack of empathy. Oh my god, I need a break from these videos.
Our cameraman loses his fucking mind, edits the story, and just shows this one little clip of the actual fight.
Feel free to rewind this video and pay close attention to how casually this woman is willing to lie, because Ben never did that. July 18th is the day that Ben posted his video to YouTube. He announced this on his Instagram as well as a Google Drive link to the 11-minute video saying that the Antwoord would try to block it, so please download it and share it old school style. Once again, it was an 11-minute video, not a little clip. I've received comments from people saying, Edwin, they're just characters. It's all an act, man. Chill out. There's more serious things going on in the world. And you know, that's cool. No? You can think that way. You don't have to worry about this at all. But when these characters, this performance art, if that's whatever you want to call it, start making serious accusations against other people and ruining people's lives, that's when it should be taken a little bit more serious than just a character facade.
One little clip of the actual fight, you know, and just makes it out like we just beat someone up for being gay.
Ninja and Yolandi are being accused of making up a fake sexual allegation, and their response is, huh? We didn't attack that guy because he was gay. That's some clever editing. What?
You can't be a dick and be f***ing ugly to people and just, you know, make that your sexual preference have anything to do with that.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that. In fact, I think most people would agree with that. Probably even Ben and Andy. Because the fact is, neither of them ever used sexuality as a factor in any of this, you know? It's funny because Ninja and Yolandi are using a logical fallacy called the straw man fallacy. You know, this is when you attack an argument that was never made in the first place simply because it's easier to defeat than what the other person is actually saying. Because Ben never mentioned anything about Andy being gay in his entire caption.
Our cameraman loses his mind.
Ninja and Yolandi keep repeating this idea that Ben lost his mind, and honestly, if you look at the caption, you could have probably used an actual example from the caption to fortify that argument. I mean, at one point, Ben says he was spiritually attacked by hired Satanists. Now, I don't know about all that, but you could have at least used that part of the caption to back up your idea that Ben's unstable. But instead, you're using a weird straw man argument, and you're the one looking unstable.
When you use that word ugly, like we used it in the footage that's there, it sounds fucking hectic. It sounds horrible.
But also when you're having a fight with someone and you just lose it, then you're just saying the worst things to them to try and insult them.
Even in a relationship, like if you're fighting with your girlfriend or your boyfriend,
it's not like you really mean it. It's
you
just
say
like
the ugliest shit.
Angry
at that moment.
Huh, so you said that in the heat of the moment, did you? Was it still in the heat of the moment when you were recalling the incident and boasting about what you said to Andy later on in the same night?
My best was like, run, faggot, run. Look at that faggot, run. Run, bitch. I was just letting sounds fucking rude.
You shouldn't speak like that. It's bad.
Well, this took a 180. Ninja's out here telling us that we shouldn't be using bad words because they're bad.
And I'm like sorry about like causing like a fucking bad vibration for planet Earth. Not, you know, the fight itself was just this random thing that happened. No one even like worried about it afterwards. But
do you see how much they care? To them, it was just a random thing that happened. To them, nobody worried about it afterwards. But how would they know anyway? They didn't bother asking Andy, did they? Instead, they actually requested to never see him ever again. Also in the interview segment, Ben said that you don't get to challenge Ninja because next thing you know, you could be the one getting accused. You know, he could be making an example out of you next. This interview happened in early July, and what do you know? Ninja switched up the story and the entire narrative about what went on in that night. And people wonder why more of their victims haven't publicly spoken up. This is definitely a big factor. Nobody wants to become the laughing stock of Antwoord's fans or whoever's in the inner circle, you know? Nobody. It's just easier to dissociate from your past and just move forward. This group has been around for a while. They've toured all over the world. They have a lot of connections, a lot of money, and they have a large platform. So this can be quite intimidating to speak up against.
But, you know, it's like I just wish peace and calm and everyone to like settle down a little bit, and you know
yeah, because at the end of the day we all want a good vibe, so let's make things more peaceful.
Increase the peace.
So Ninja drops his gangster act and says increase the peace. Meanwhile, he's paying real gangsters and real murderers to be in his movie, which will be telling the story about his band. Oh yeah, I've heard a lot about that, Ninja. While I was finishing up this video, I received a very unexpected message from Dune, Antwoord's new cameraman behind the Zef TV series. Or should I say, ex-cameraman not behind the Zef TV series. We spoke on the phone for a little while, then he sent me a statement which practically summarizes everything we talked about, so I'm gonna be reading that out for you guys. I was approached by Antwoord to make a documentarian-like series of their daily life called Married to the Game. I was fully intending on making an objective piece on them where I would be asking them about their feelings towards homophobia, racism, abuse, and some of the more serious accusations towards them this year. I said yes to the job because it would afford me almost unlimited access into the lives of this group, which I saw as an incredible opportunity as a documentary photographer. After seeing how the first 2 episodes were cut, I realized that I was unfittingly credited for the show with it reading by Dune in the caption. The show's name was changed, I had almost no creative control, the footage was handed over to Antwoord's full-time editor, and the more hard-hitting relevant answers were not included or at best were scripted. So at this point, I asked Ninja to remove my face from the show and remove my name from the credits. A few hours after this, due to deliberating on the fact that I had come into this wanting to make an objective documentary-style piece, later to realize it was somewhat a PR campaign to shift their public perception, I called Ninja and quit. I do not condone violence in any way, and I do not align myself with any of the ideas, stances, or actions from Antwoord. I have always tried my utmost to be an ally of marginalized groups, and in making the show, I hoped to make something that was revealing of Antwoord's inner thoughts towards what many groups have asked for years with little to no answers. I will not accept payment for the show that I quote-unquote made, and will no longer make any form of art for this group. I am sorry to all those who saw my documentarian endeavors as the condoning of Antwoord's actions. So essentially, Dune was offered an opportunity to create a documentary type style of videos in which he could offer an objective or at least somewhat of an inside perspective into the lives of Ninja and Yolandi, but he quit once he realized that the offer was completely legitimate down to the name. Dune also changed his username on Instagram because Antwoord never took it out of the video titles. However, they did end up replacing him with a new host on the new Zef TV episode.
The other guy is not here today because he has explosive diarrhea. It's a problem.
Personally, I don't blame Dune for taking the gig, especially after speaking with him. I do sincerely believe that he was trying to seek the answers to a lot of the questions that some of us have, you know? And I mean genuine answers, you know, none of the scripted stuff that we see on the Zef TV episodes. And considering the fact that he quit once he realized that the videos were not what he was told they would be, that gives him some integrity in my book. And speaking of quitting, all good things must come to an end, guys, and that includes this series. So the next episode will be the last. My manager told me that the likes on this video were just too low, so the show's gotta go. Is what Ninja wishes I would be telling you. I'm my own manager and I got a green light for another season. No, but I will be actually taking a short break, maybe a month and a half or 2-month break, because believe it or not, I do have other stories and other videos that I want to do besides just the Antwoord, you know, and at the same time, I don't want to oversaturate you guys with just the Antwoord stuff all the time, you know? So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of it. And it's actually kind of weird to tell you guys to subscribe this deep into the series, but maybe some people haven't done it, or I've actually gotten some comments from people saying that YouTube unsubscribed them from my channel. So double check on that and add post notifications just in case you want to watch my live streams, because I don't keep those on my channel, so you either catch them or you miss them, you know? I do put them on my Patreon, but you gotta pay $2 to see them, and I know a lot of people don't like to pay. So you're either there or you aren't. Alright guys, thanks so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see you next week. Cool.
You don't get to challenge Ninja. You don't get to say, hey, dude, like, that wasn't cool what you just did. Otherwise, it turns on you.